Hello, good morning. What is good? It is good in the neighborhood. Yeah. So it is Tuesday. It is Ruby Tuesday, or can't think of anything cool to say with Tuesday, but it is Tuesday. And I got things that are on my mind, and I think it would be a really good podcast. So we're at number 6. Yeah. TIC Podcast 6. Let's do this. So, I spend a lot of time, most of my day, at my computer. And when I'm at my computer, I like to listen to music. About 90% of my YouTube feed is albums and playlists and things like that. And this is something that I always tell people when, they're like, do you have a Spotify? I'm like, no, I really like YouTube. Because anybody can post anything on YouTube without any restrictions other than they wouldn't get ad money from copyright. I mean, occasionally they'll get a copyright strike, but it's rare. I see a lot of really great content that's just kind of it exists. And there's also live radio shows for copyright-free music. And one great example is Doom Radio. Like, that thing is amazing. Like, I occasionally just, that's what I listen to on repeat. And so, with this whole thing about music, it kind of was jogging in my mind because I listened to Kendrick Lamar for the first time. I've heard of him, but, I never listened to his music. And, out of curiosity, I listened to this album, To Pimp a Butterfly. And it was so damn good that at the ending monologue, I literally shed a tear. Like, I got goosebumps. Like, I'm a big fan of jazz and, poetry and blues. And, my favorite musician is a man called Gil Scott-Heron. And he kind of invented this freeform poet style that, a lot of people compare to Bob Dylan back in the day. And they called him the Black Bob Dylan. And he was really kind of like the godfather of hip-hop. I mean, he started off with the whole beat poet thing, and it evolved and in the 80s, and then eventually we got rap in the 90s. But, I really love new rap today, because now you have a lot more philosophical rap. Nujabes and MF Doom and Aesop Rock and Atmosphere and Dirt. I feel like there's so many smart rappers that are pushing the boundaries of hip hop to a point where it's going into a direction I've never even imagined. And I gave Kendrick Lamar a listen, and it was like literally everything I love condensed and transformed times 100. From like it basically felt like Pieces of a Man, but like times 1,000. And it mixed the monologue and the poetry with like really amazing jazz and just this great beat music and powerful lyrics, like really powerful music. It was one of those albums that when you listen to it, this is like a historic album. In my opinion, there's like one of those every decade. And, it gave me goosebumps. Like, I don't normally get that feeling, that once in a lifetime feeling where it's like you listen to something and it moves you. Like that was Kendrick Lamar, man. Like I just want to gush about this. Like I thought like, wow, I have a lot to say about this album and I have a lot to say about music. I should make a podcast about this. Because what was so amazing and what makes Gil Scott-Heron my favorite musician is he isn't really definable. He kind of jumps from like poetry and hip hop to jazz to blues to funk music, and he tries so many different things. And you listen to his later stuff, like his album 1980, and it's got like a funk vibe to it, like very pop electric vibe to it. His most known stuff is like his album Winter in America, or Pieces of a Man. Pieces of a Man is like my favorite record of all time, but his stuff is very like you know profound, deep lyrics with jazz and kind of it's got kind of like a beat poet vibe with drumming, but it also has this really great like a jazz quartet kind of vibe to it. I mean, like, he really has his own style. Like, I'm trying to describe it, and it really is its own style. My first introduction to his music was YouTube, and his hit single, The Bottle. I think that's, like, the best way to start, because it's, like, such a damn good song. Anybody can listen to it. But, then, I bought my first CD, and it was Bridges. And Bridges was another... He has a longtime collaborator with a musician called Brian Jackson. And they composed just a really, really great album with lots of... It feels dynamic, and if you could imagine music to be color, it's colorful. You know what I mean? Like, it's got text, it's got texture, it's got flavor, and John Coltrane and Lady Day is one of my favorite songs. That wasn't on Bridges, but We Almost Lost Detroit is just such a damn good song. And, I mean, what I'm going about Gil Scott-Heron is his stuff was different. It really stands out. And I haven't found anything really close to it until I listened to Pimp a Butterfly. I mean, I'm gushing and gushing about Gil's music history because, he was able to change things almost every single album. Spirits was in the 90s, and that's like a totally different take on his music in a really good way. He's done a lot of renditions of his 70s stuff. Like, you'll see like a million versions of Home Is Where the Hatred Is, which was my favorite song of all time, by the way. But, even then, it's different. And, with his last album, I'm New Here, it takes things that are modern, and his style in, at the time it was 2010, and it really felt like, wow, this is old and new at the same time. And honestly, I think I'm New Here is one of his best albums of all time. And when they re-released it for the 10th anniversary, I had to get it. 2020, they released a double LP, and it comes with like a whole LP of unreleased tracks. And it's so great to hear like, Gil doing stuff in the studio. And I'm a new listener to Kendrick Lamar. I only got a chance to listen to Pimp a Butterfly one listen, but it's so memorable. I mean, that's kind of how a good movie is, or something like that, where you think about it after you listen to it. It's not like, oh, I forgot it. Like, I don't remember. Like, no, I can feel it. Like, it goes from like something small with a rhythm to something you start clapping and screaming. Like, I turned my volume up. I loud volume up. Like, it moved me. It made me want to like fist pump and just like yeah, you know? Um and I don't get like that because I listen to so much music, it's like a candy store. You get numb to it. It's like I have everything on YouTube. And it's not bad. I love that I have access to like every single song I could ever want. But when you listen to something that's new and like you've just never heard something that good in years, it was like indescribably awesome. I I don't know, man. I am almost 32, and my music journey kind of started when I was 12, but the first time I really started paying attention to music critically was probably after high school, because we're still figuring ourselves out. And when I got into college, that's when I started asking who I was. And that's when music really gets exciting. At least it was really exciting for me when I got to start finding different genres. Like, there's always these guys in high school or whatever who stick to like one genre, and it's their only genre. Like people who are like goth or metal or punk or whatever or country, and it feels like it's just so boring. Like, I like goth music, but I can't be a goth. Like, I can't see myself listening to one genre of music and making one style of clothing like my identity. I mean, it is a subculture, and that's cool, and it really defined a lot of things that I like, such as The Crow. But I'm not a scene guy. Like, I couldn't fit in with like scene culture. Like, I tried being a greaser, but then I got sniffed out by wearing Vans. It's like, I don't know. I guess I have to look a certain way to be a greaser. So I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't care. Like, I'm just me. I like the fashion, but I'm not gonna call myself this if it's that clicky. You know what I mean? And that's how these music groups tend to be. Is like, you have to fit in this box. And if you're not exactly the same as everyone in that group, then you're just not a part of their subculture. And when you listen to new music, when you discover things you haven't tried before, um, it's something else. I mean, it's really one of my favorite experiences. I took a jazz history class in college, and to this day, that's probably my favorite college elective I've ever taken. Because even though it was a fun class and it was like considered like fluff, I learned a lot of great music and a lot of really interesting history, like Dizzy Gillespie and Charlie Parker, and the struggle that both of them had back in that time, and the sad story of Charlie Parker, the bird, and just how like fucked up the music industry was back then. Like, Louis Armstrong is like the face of jazz, and he got like no money because the mafia was running everything, and he had like all of his money ripped off from him. And everybody thinks of him when they think of jazz. He's the face of the classic music, but it's with music history. It goes back to the whole picture, not just like the song, but like the whole context and everything. And Bessie Smith, like, powerful voice. When you listen to Bessie, she doesn't have like a singer voice. She has like a raw voice. Like when you listen to that stuff, it's like it's pure raw. And that's what I loved about learning all this stuff in history class, and why I'm a history buff in general. Because, it's not just a story. It's like you actually kind of pick up on things and apply it. And, it tends to give me informed worldview on what's going on. And it was just the same in music as it was as any other history class I've had. And, it made me a critic. It made me want to pick apart music, because our final was to review a jazz concert and go to, like, a jazz concert hall, because, I live in a college town and we have a symphony, and I'm lucky to be there. That's really a great cultural thing to be. But, when you get to have that listening ear, when you're able to hear the sounds, individual sounds, like when you hear the instruments and everything in chorus and harmony, it really is something else. Like, when you get addicted to sound quality, eventually I did end up buying my first stereo, and it's like my favorite toy I ever bought. Is just like this really great stereo with speakers. You can pick things apart and it will just make music like so much better. I had a record player, but I don't know how to fix it. And I went to the repair shop, which was, very hipsterish. And the guy was just trying to sell me stuff instead of answer my questions. And, I'm pretty much giving up on this record player that died. So I'm probably going to end up going to Guitar Center to buy a brand new record player. But, I have the stereo. It's still like the rest of the unit can plug into my computer and play out through the speakers. And even though I'm playing MP3s through a stereo, because of the way it outlays and everything, it still comes out beautiful. I love listening to audio from YouTube going into my receiver and out into my speakers, because it still splits everything and has a really great sound. And I've listened to records. I have about 15 or 10 records, and most of them are soundtracks, actually, because I'm a big movie buff. Like, I am a movie guy. If there was something that I could click to, like, literally I started a club in my high school called the Producers, because that was my, like, calling. That was my thing in high school, was film and movies. But I'm getting off track, talking about soundtracks and getting off track. But records, right? With records, they sound a bit warmer and they have a little bit more rich sound quality. It's like you go to a guy who's collected records, and he could describe this sound way better than I ever could, because I'm fairly new into records. But part of it is the availability of it. I mean, when you find a record store, they're cheap and they're very fun to collect. I've already done a last podcast about collecting movies in VHS. That is, like, I love that, and sadly I'm out of room. I finally, like, have everything level. When you find that point where your collection looks good and it's like the maximum overhead space, that's when you stop. But with the whole experience of picking up a record, you're looking at the album art, And the art really makes a big impact on the feeling you're going to get when you listen to it. Because, when you were in a CD store or whatever, like I used to go to Borders bookstore when they were existing, you could just listen to the song. They had headphones, and you could just like use this catalog MP3 system that you could look up the music through a barcode. And at the time, it was like futuristic, but it's like ancient now. But CDs back in the day were the future. It was MP3 audio. It was digital. It was easy to find on your iPod. That was like the thing. And people pirated it, and that was why we have streaming now. Like, no one even cares about CDs anymore, because why bother? It's like, oh, I have to pay for a thing that I can get for free? Who cares? But, there's something about physical media that just really clicks. And even though I love collecting CDs, there is no better experience than collecting a vinyl record when it comes to collecting music, because it's big, it's got texture in the like the slip case. It feels like art, Like the literal thing feels like art. And people pin it to their walls. Like, people display it like actual posters and stuff. And they usually have really cool inserts, or like lyrics or band facts. They really go all out when it comes to the packaging, and it's made a huge comeback. I went to Best Buy looking for a television, and they had a whole vinyl section, brand new, with everything modern, new music. And it's like deluxe editions that you have to pay a premium for. Like, there's CDs that are like about $20, and it's like $30 for a record. And that's really cool, because it means that old things are coming back. Like, I'm waiting for the day when we get like a new VHS player that plays in something like, kind of similar to video gaming, where there's a big collector market for HD retro analog technology, like analog NT gaming systems. See, I'm getting off track again. What am I doing? Why am I so addicted to just going all over the place? But that's the thing about all this stuff. It's almost all in the same big box. It's like, once you start picking apart this stuff, it really just opens everything up, and you get really excited about things. And I love it. I live for it. That is my experience in life. And I feel like I complain too much, and I wanted to say something that was, not about the vitriol that's going on social media, whether it's one thing or another. I want to talk about something that would make you freaking excited, have a good day. And that album, To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, is online. You can find it on YouTube for free. And it is my recommendation. I think it is one of the best albums I've listened to in about 20 years. Maybe a very long time. And on that note, I just want to say, have a great day. Have an awesome Tuesday. And, when I'm ready, I'll see you next time. Bye.